I just hit stream, so hopefully we're good to go. I heard about the grandmother saying prayers, so yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. It is what it is, yeah.
Good morning. How is everybody doing today? Welcome, welcome. Can't believe so many people made it out in this freezing, freezing weather this morning. But I'm so happy to be here worshiping with you. And sometimes the brightest days are the coldest in the winter, isn't that right? Good sing-along part. Anybody recognize it yet? Lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day. Here we go. When I wake up in the morning, love, sunlight hurts my eyes. There's something without warning, love, that's heavy on my mind. But then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, a lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day. day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to take when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way. Yeah, then I look at you and the world's all right with me. Just one look at you and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. Lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, love a lovely day. Lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day. Thank you.
Good morning, neighbors. It is an exciting day, isn't it? Otherwise, why would you have braved the cold to be here this morning? The excitement of Will's music and Trevor's message. I mean, it's we're pumped, aren't we? Because it's cold out there. But after this, the day's excitement continues because this afternoon is the first playoff game, right? 2 o'clock, 49ers, Eagles, and then at 5:30 is the Chiefs and the Bengals. And all, these two teams, the winners go to the Super Bowl on the 12th. So how many of us have tickets to the Super Bowl this year? The average price for a ticket to the Super Bowl in the last 5 years, $6,214. Yeah. Many of us will attend or host a Super Bowl party. Some of us won't. I mean, the statistic is that maybe 40% of people do that. 8 million pounds of guacamole on Super Bowl Sunday. Some of those facts just really intrigue me. And so if you're like me, I watch the commercials because those are fun. The halftime shows, I don't know. I don't know. But what's interesting is the halftime performers do not get paid for what they do. Their costs gets covered of production, but they don't make any money. I just find that really interesting. So my family and I have been integral in the last few years of using the Super Bowl as a fundraiser type thing for the Lincoln Community Food Bank. In southeast Nebraska, our food bank covers 16 southeast Nebraska counties. And the statistics are that 1 in 10 people in those counties are food insecure. Insecure meaning that there's not enough food for them to be healthy and active without, struggling. And so what we do is we kind of use that includes 14,900 children in southeast Nebraska. So it just kind of blows my mind. There's a lot of organizations in Lincoln to support, great organizations. I've been part of a lot of them, Matt Talbot and The Gathering Place and, People City Mission and the Center for People in Need and Fresh Start and Friendship Home and all kinds of places. And what's important is I don't know, that we need to pick one, but I think it's important for us to support one and to give back. Christ calls us to do that. So, I'm making this really long. Next week, Ann and Kevin and I will set up a table in the back. You're invited to shop when you do your shopping or whenever, and bring canned items or food items, macaroni and cheese, Campbell's, whatever it might be for the food bank. If you bring cans, and there is a choice of the pop tops, that's even better. Nothing that would perish, no perishables, but the pantry stuff, the solid stuff. And you can support your team because there will be a table divided. And this has never gone wrong, okay? This is better than David Letterman's puppy thing, if you remember that. I mean, we always pick the winner by who gets supported, the heaviest in this. And so you can bring your items and put them on the side of the table that supports your team. And in the end, it's a win-win for everybody because the Lincoln Food Bank will get that type stuff in order to help them. They do some phenomenal things, and they're much bigger than what any of us ever realize and stretch out a long ways. So it's just a small part that we can do. So I invite you to do that. You know, when you're shopping for your family, pick up a couple extra things, cases if you want, but you know, just whatever you can do. The flip side to that is that if you find yourself in need, if you're one of those that might be a little food insecure now and then, we're here to help you. There's, you know, Trevor, let him know, let me know, let Brian know. We have resources and we can do that, or if you know someone. So there's two sides to that. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you guys. Quick show. Quick show of hands. Who else wore shorts today? See, that's a cool guy right there. All right. If you want to stay connected with Neighbors Church, you can text the word neighbors to 402-512-1856. You can also fill out our communication cards and just leave them on your table, and we'll pick them up after today's service. If you want a free travel mug, you can go over there and get one. Help yourself. You can drink out of it while you're sitting on the couch with shorts on, you know. And then if you'd like to contribute to Neighbors Church, you can give through our giving box around the corner by clicking onto our website at neighborscommunity.org or by mailing checks to 575 Fallbrook Boulevard, Suite 102, Lincoln, Nebraska 68521. Another way to help us grow is to get the word out about Neighbors Church. You know, tell your friends there's a guy who wears shorts every week here, you know. And then we're glad you're here. Can't believe no one else wears shorts, but it's great you guys are here, so thanks for being a neighbor.
Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Rod. You are my joy, you are my song, you are the well, the one I'm drawing from. You are my refuge, my whole life long. Where else would I go? Surely my God is the strength of my soul. Your love defends me, your love defends me. And when I feel like I'm all alone, your love defends me, your love defends me, yeah. Day after day, night after night, I will remember you're with me in this fight. Although the battle, it rages on, the war's already won. I know the war is already won. Surely my God is the strength of my soul. Your love defends me, your love defends me. And when I feel like I'm all alone, your love defends me, your love defends me. We sing hallelujah, you're my portion, my salvation. Hallelujah, surely my God is the strength of my soul. Your love defends me, your love defends me. And when I feel like I'm all alone, your love defends me, your love defends me. Surely my God is the strength of my soul. Your love defends me, your love defends me. And when I feel like I'm all alone, your love defends me, your love defends me, yeah. Beautiful singing out there. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together today to worship and be reminded of all the love that we have for you, for ourselves, and for our neighbor. On these cold days, maybe we reach out and stay aware of the people around us and our neighbors that need help in our community and continue to do that. Amen. That is some pretty startling statistics about that Rod shared about the Super Bowl, how $6,200 a ticket, and how we live in a country where somebody can buy a $6,200 ticket to a game, but then there can be 19,000, or was it 1,900 that you said, kids in Nebraska that are 14,900 that are food insecure. Wow, that's just baffling. So. In the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have this whole world. Give me Jesus. When I am alone, oh, when I am alone, when I am alone, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have this whole world. Give me Jesus. When I come to die, oh, and when I come to die, when I come to die, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have this whole world. Give me Jesus. One more time. Give me Jesus, give me Jesus. You can have this whole world. Give me Jesus. Awesome. Does anybody remember the name of the donkey from Don Quixote? No, I don't either. It's no problem. But I remember his sidekick's name, Sancho Panza. But is that a donkey, Trevor?
I have no idea.
Any names out there?
It looks like a cousin.
What do you got, Tim? Shrek? Oh, good. I like that. All right. Well, every week at Neighbors, we like to take a 3-minute pause to say hello to our neighbors and get some refreshments before the message. So we will take that pause now, and we'll be right back with you. Thank you.
Breathe deep, love. Take your time. Hang on loosely as time flies. Through all of the laughs and every tear, never alone, my love. Remember, you're always enough. Hold on and never give up. You're never alone. Wherever this life goes.
Well, someone looked up the name of Don Quixote's sidekicks. Was this the sidekick's donkey, right? Because he had his own horse too, I guess. But the sidekick's donkey name was Dapple with a P. Yes. So I love that book. That was the first book that I read that was, over 600 years old that I thought was actually funny. And I was very surprised to know that people back then had senses of humor too. And one of the things that I love about Neighbors that Trevor constantly reminds us that, people that lived back at the time of the Bible where we're hearing these stories were just like people today. They had senses of humors, they had troubles, they had all the problems that we have today. And I love that. All right. When I was a boy, each week on Sundays we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen still, but now I can't keep track of, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. Holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven second-rate hand-me-down, but now I'm walking with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face and say it's not a testament. Yeah, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament. I'll tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood and saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down. But I'm walking with the reverence, and everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Thank you. Now today's reading.
Good morning. Today's reading is Matthew 18, 10 through 14. If your brother or sister sins against you, go and point out the fault when the two of you are alone. If you are listened to, you have regained that one. But if you are not listened to, take one or two others along with you, so that every word may be confirmed by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If that person refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if the offender refuses to listen even to the church, let such a one be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. Truly, I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, truly, I tell you, if 2 of you agree on earth about anything you ask, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there among them.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. How's everybody doing this chilly morning? Yeah? I guess I'm just talking to you. So, good to see everybody, especially when it's so cold. When it's this freezing, you never know if you're going to be here by yourself or if people are going to come and help warm the place up a little bit. And I'm glad that we have so many here to help warm the place up a little bit too. So, little quiz for you. What, as disciples of Christ, what is our overwhelming theme, our overwhelming responsibility? Anybody want to tackle that? To love. Who said that first? You said that? Gold star. And then someone over here said that too, right? Bronze. So, we are called to love. Here's another quiz for you. What is the mission of Neighbors Church? Love God, and even with a mouthful of donut or cookie, you just, wow, that's like doing your own stunts. Love God, love yourself, love your neighbor. Those are the foundation of what this church is based on. And you'll notice that there is a continual word in every one of those phrases, and that is what the disciples' message is: love. We are called to love each other. It's as simple as that. As Christ followers, we are called to love each other. Christ gave that example when he walked this earth over 2,000 years ago. The example he gave was to reach out to people, to love people, to meet people where they are, to share meals with people, to heal people, to welcome people into the kingdom of heaven, to love people. And for 2,000 years, we have danced around that, and we've argued about it, and we haven't been able to get that message right. So we are going to continue to beat the drum over and over again that we are here to love each other. That is when they will know that you are disciples of mine, Christ says, when you have love for one another. How do we show people we're disciples of Christ? We love each other. Right? So what happens when we disagree? What happens when we argue? What happens when we just fight? We are human, and we do that. Another thing about Neighbors Church is when we first started this church over 5 years ago, Dave, you were so young then, but it's for 5 years, we have believed in the concept of deep and simple. Deep and simple means that we just don't go into the bells and whistles. We never invested in any special effects, any high-tech video things or anything like that. We just felt if it was organic, we did it. And if it meant the message, every time that we did anything, we always continually asked ourselves, does this meet our mission of loving God, loving ourselves, loving our neighbor? Does it have a mission of love? Because we're not going to go into gimmicks, and we're not going to try to do things just to get people in the seats and everything like that and distort that message. Because we believe that Christ taught a very deep and simple message. Deep because of the meaning of it. It had to do with our eternity. It had to do with something, beyond our understanding. It had to do with God. But simple because it truly is a simple message. Love God, love yourself, love your neighbor. It's that easy. There's no complex plan here. If we can get grasped around that, then we can handle even the things that happen when we fight, when we disagree. The fact that we are Christian does not mean that we will never disagree. Our world is filled with disagreement. Oh my goodness, more so than anything. Politics, churches are at battle. Everybody is fighting. I wish more people watched sports. What happened there when we just chose a team? I was a Bears fan for many years, and that's why I don't watch football at all anymore now, but so depressing. But, nobody seems to understand the simplest way that we are to argue. And Christ, 2,000 years ago, gave us the best self-help book imaginable. He told us exactly what to do when we disagree. And we go to the library and we go to the bookstore and we pay people and we all do this stuff and we go to counseling and everything like this to try to find ways to do it. And all they're teaching us is this very same thing that Christ taught us 2,000 years ago. Let's say that somebody said something that upset me. Julianne, you made fun of my bald head. Laugh it up. Now, according to today's world, the way that I would handle that, if you said that, just in joking, that, I looked like Ziggy, the cartoon character Ziggy, or Mr. Magoo, or whatever you've called me in the past. I'm just trying to recall from memory here. The first thing that I would do in today's world is I would go to somebody else. I wouldn't go to Julianne. I'd go over here, and I'd say, that Julianne, she's something. She is a poop face, is what she is. She is a poop face. That's her. And Julianne would never be aware that I'm even having this conversation. I'm just over here. And then I might go over here and go to social media. And I might just say, people that make fun of bald people are poop faces. And then I would try to solicit comments of people that agree with me. I would go just to my side and have people agree with who I am and help rev that up. And what we are accomplishing here is now I have a group of people that agree that Julianne is a poop face. And we start saying poop face all the time there. Have you heard the word poop face this many times in church before? I don't think I've said it this many times. But we start spreading this and we start building this up, and next thing we know, we have this side and we have this side. And the one thing that's odd about it is Julianne never even knew that she was on a side, because nobody's talked to Julianne. Nobody has ever expressed anything to her. We just jump to our side. We do it in politics. I don't know why we use politicians as a measurement of how we're supposed to behave. We do. All I want to do is I want to trash your character. And that's it. And for some reason, I think I've won. But what's odd is that I still walk around hurt by the initial statement. Maybe I build an insecurity about it. Maybe I start wearing more hats. Maybe I just put my hand like this all the time. Hi, how are you? Pay no attention to the hand there. Jesus says very simply, if someone has said something or done something that upsets you, one-to-one first. This seems so weird to us because we don't do this anymore. We don't have those one-on-one conversations. We would much rather just go to one side and spew hatred and misinformation and all of this kind of stuff and trash that person rather than talk about the actual thing that happened. Christ knew that 2,000 years ago, that for us to be able to actually get along, we have to be able to communicate with each other. And so, imagine what would happen if I had a conversation with Julianne the minute she said that. That's scary, isn't it? A lot of times that's scary because what happens there is that the first thing it does is it makes me vulnerable. It puts me into a position of conflict, and I don't like that. And it makes me face somebody that I might disagree with. And I don't like that either. We're so used to, it's so easy now with social media and things like that, just to jump on the side of everybody that agrees with me. I can scroll through every TikTok video, every Facebook post and everything until I find people that are speaking and echoing exactly what I think, and just stay on that course and never have a conversation with anybody that disagrees with me. And we never learn how to get along with people that have differing opinions than us. And Christ knew 2,000 years ago that would divide the church. And it's doing that now. It's dividing our nation, it's dividing our church, it's dividing our communities. Because all we want to do is split up and complain about the other side to our side. Christ said, one-on-one. Go to that person one-on-one. This translation says, if a brother or sister sins against you. Other translations actually talk about if someone sins against you. And I actually like that term better because it says if someone sins against you and you confront them, if you talk to them one-on-one, you've gained a brother or a sister. I like that contrast because you're basically going to somebody that you may not consider a brother or a sister, and by having that conversation, that vulnerability, by having that personal talk and saying, I feel this, you're gaining a brother and sister. That's a close-knit thing. That's us in the body of Christ right there. And so by having this conversation with Julianne, I am expressing how I feel. I'm making myself vulnerable to Julianne. And by sharing that, there is a good chance that by sharing that conversation, that we will actually leave that conversation closer than we were before it. Because we have shared a personal part of ourselves. That's why Christ said, you will gain a brother or sister. You will share a bond there. If it works out, you will share a bond there. What if it doesn't work out? What if I go to Julianne and I say, you know, I didn't really care for that. And she says, oh yeah, well you're short too. You know, and then, oh, well, coming from her, that's really... Well, that's where Jesus says, bring one or two others. This comes from the Old Testament of witnesses, two or more to witness something. And we love to jump to this because what we think that Christ is saying is, go grab two people that agree with you, and then let's go and just give her comeuppance. Let's all gang up on Julianne. You think she's a poop face, right? Come on with me. No, this talks about bringing two or more witnesses. Witnesses meaning outsiders that observe the conversation. And when we have that conversation, those outsiders might say, you know, Trevor has a point. You know, there's things that we can say that can hurt people. Or they might actually say, hey, Trevor, I think you're being really oversensitive here. You were joking too. There were jokes going on. You got to let some things go. You can't take everything so personally. In fact, sometimes when you grab those witnesses, they might turn around and say, actually, it's kind of your fault at this. Or you might take a look at yourself. That's why you have the witnesses. So it's not a gang up. It's someone to take an objective view and take a look at what is happening so that they can give an objective opinion of what's going on and try to help you solve this. So I go there, and we have the two other people. And in this case, they say, yeah, Julianne, you were kind of out of line too. And she says, oh yeah, well, have you gained weight lately? And so then I have to walk away again. Boy, you're mean. And that's where it says, go to the church. Now, again, we've jumped to this where we picture going to the entire church body and saying, in the name of God, Julianne is a poop face. Who's my witness? And we want to turn the entire church against Julianne. What Christ was actually talking about there was just a body of, there were no big churches in the time of Christ. There were synagogues, there were groups, there were small groups of people that were in fellowship together, in community, and following God. And so what he's talking about is just go to them and try to hash this out. In other words, try to make another attempt to have peace among you. And if you go to church people, healthy church people, they're not fun to argue with, because they say things like, love God, love yourself, love your neighbor. They say things like reconciliation. They say things like community. They say things like, what would Jesus do? And Jesus never called anyone a poop face. They work on trying to resolve the problem. Now that's when Jesus says, if that doesn't work out, then treat them like a Gentile or a tax collector. Now this is kind of a funny thing, because we look at this and we think, okay, Gentiles were the villains of the day and tax collectors were worse than Gentiles. So we are to turn our face against her and just hate her forever and say, I don't even acknowledge you anymore, and go dramatic, That's my dramatic stance. It's funny that this comes from the gospel written by Matthew, attributed to Matthew, the tax collector. And we have another gospel, Luke, which was written by a Gentile. So even in that, there is reconciliation. There is community. It may be okay to distance. Jesus is saying it may be okay. If you're in a situation where you're continually getting barraged and hurt and everything like that, it is okay, and the church has your back to be able to say, that's not a healthy situation for me. But that doesn't mean that I now get to own this side and continue to hurt them. That's not what that means. That means I can separate myself from it. I don't have to take the barrage of abuse, but I don't solve it by abusing. As Christians, as disciples, what's our motive? Love. Sometimes we cannot have conversations without attacking character anymore. We get on the defense. Somebody hurts us, I want to hurt them back. That's the first thing that we think, is I've got to hurt them back. And we've forgotten the ways to actually communicate about the problem. And we see this so much in our government, in our politics, in our churches. I have seen many times recently churches going on social media and getting a soundbite to attack another church because of a disagreement. never talking to that person, pastors attacking other pastors, never talking to each other, but attacking each other to their home base. How does that solve the problem? How does that reconcile? Because if we are disciples and love is the thing that marks us as being Christ-like, then how do we achieve that by just calling people names, attacking people, and hanging out with the side that agrees with us and not having those difficult conversations? I often think of when we have difficulty with somebody, when somebody has said something. We'll pick on Julianne again. You've been a real trooper here. Yes. Yeah, you know. Come late, you got to sit in the front, and then you get this, you know, just like the... Let's use a prop here. Julianne calls me, what was it, Baldy or whatever? That's the issue. Okay? So, we visually look at this as this is the issue. This is the issue. We set that there. And we put that between me and Julianne. And we talk about the issue. If I focus on the issue, if I focus on this, I can't attack you. If I focus on this, I can't go over here because I'm walking away from the issue. If I go and try to spew stuff, or if I go over here and try to put things on social media and everything like that, I am walking away from the issue and the chance of resolving it. But if I have an issue here, then I can treat Julianne with respect. I can treat her as a fellow Christian. I can treat her as a neighbor. And I can say, you're a friend. I care about you. You mean the world to me. But there's something that happened that I felt this way. And notice how I'm owning my behavior, my feelings. And I'm not attacking Julianne. I'm just saying this happened. This issue happened. Can we discuss this issue? And together, we are now, hopefully, as Christians with the message of love, we are focusing on the issue and not attacking each other. It's the same way that Christ taught us by removing evil spirits and demons and all of those kind of things. When somebody came, say that you came at me with a demon inside of you. You're spitting things and all this kind of stuff, and your head's spinning around, and you're giving pea soup. If the head spins around, stay away from things that stain. Don't give them the pea soup. Chicken broth. Just do chicken broth. But you're doing all this kind of stuff, and Jesus sees you. Jesus talks directly to the demon inside of you. Jesus never attacked the person. Jesus attacked the issue. Jesus said, get out of her to protect you, to love you, to care for you. He approached the issue. We do the same thing when we have disagreements, when we argue. This is the way that we're supposed to do it. Imagine if our politicians actually sat down and said, I have nothing against you. I just want to talk about the issue. Instead of trying to get their soundbite and trying to say something evil about the person or question their education or question their character, question all of the other kind of things, if we actually just focused on the issue. Where would our churches be if we actually just came together in Christian faith and love and focused on the issue? And that's when we can use that plan of Christ by having this conversation one-on-one and saying, Julianne, this is the thing. I'm not attacking you. I'm still approaching you in Christian love, and I'm just talking about the thing. And if it doesn't work out, we can still walk away from this. and disagree on the issue, but still love each other. We really can. And sometimes when it doesn't work out and you go to the church and everything and Jesus says treat them like a Gentile and tax collector and all this kind of stuff, walk away, what you can actually do is you can take that issue and say, well, I still have this issue. I still have this problem with people calling me bald. And so I can take that, and I may not have resolved it here, but I'm not going to resolve it at all if I just attack you. Instead, I can take the issue, and I can talk to people about it, about the issue. Not about Julianne, not about name-calling, not about attacking, but I can talk about the issue. That's what Christ was telling us 2,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago. Best self-help guru in the world. You know, more people should actually listen to Jesus. He's kind of smart. And I think he might have been thin in the head, too, just a little bit. Christ sends a clear message to us. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to really disagree on things. But what are we called for? To still love. To still love. We get nowhere by attacking. We get nowhere by fighting violence with violence. We get nowhere by fighting hatred with hatred. We get nowhere by fighting bullying with bullying. And when you're attacking somebody's character, that's exactly what you're doing. It takes great strength, great faith to make yourself vulnerable enough to actually have a conversation with another person. But it also makes us stronger. Remember, when you share the way that you feel with another human being, you have the great chance of gaining a brother or sister. You have the great chance of bonding and becoming even closer. Closer in friendship, closer in community, closer in Christian faith. May we share who we are with one another. May we talk about the issue without attacking one another. And may we remember that the person that we stare at is also the person that Christ loves dearly. And our job is to be Christ-like. Would you pray with me? Gracious and loving God, help us to see you in our neighbor. Help us to carry the message of love. In today's world, kindness is the new rebellion. Help us rebel against the hatred, the bullying, the trash talking. Help us rebel against that by sharing your love and kindness for one another. Help us work out our differences. Help us be the church. Help us be disciples. In Jesus' name, Lord, we pray. Amen.
I don't know about you, but I'd like to tell the truth. But the truth seems to change every Tuesday. And when I watch the news, man, it just gives me the blues. No one listens, just on a mission to hear their own voice. It's a wild world and we're all trying to find our place in it. It's a wild world and no one seems to understand it. It's a wild world, but there ain't no way I'm gonna quit it. Love is all we've got to give away. Some folks ain't got a dollar to their name, others got their own jet planes. We all got the same blood running through our veins. Whether or not you pray, black or white, straight or gay, you still deserve the love of your neighbor. It's a wild world and we're all trying to find our place in it. It's a wild world, no one seems to understand it. It's a wild world, there ain't no way I'm gonna quit it, 'cause love is all we've got to give away. Try a little tenderness, maybe some benefit of the doubt. Another person's point of view, try to listen, not to shout. Hold your opinions loosely, maybe you're not always right. Show a little mercy and hold on to love real tight. It's a wild world and we're all trying to find our place in it. It's a wild world and no one seems to understand it. It's a wild world and there ain't no way I'm gonna quit it, 'cause love is all we've got to give away. Yeah, love is all we've got to give away. Thank you.
Thanks, Will. I'm sorry, we're going just a little bit late. Normally we like to beat the Catholics to the Pizza Hut, but we may not do that today. But one thing that we do here at Neighbors every week is we celebrate communion for the very reason of what we were talking about, that the night that Christ was taken away, he sat at a table with people that followed him diligently. He also sat at the table with people that would abandon him very quickly. He sat with people that had differences. And that's when he decided to make a bold statement, a statement that would echo throughout the ages. And here we are celebrating that today. The fact that Christ loves all of us. All of us. You have these nifty communion sets at your table here. It was at the dinner that Christ sat with his friends. He looked around. He gave thanks for the bread. He blessed it. He looked at those that were getting it, people that were questioning, people that were understanding, people that were going to betray him. And he said, "This is my body, given to you." And they take it. After the meal, he looked at those same folks. He held up a glass of wine, he blessed it, gave thanks for it. And he said, "This is my blood given to you. This is the new covenant." And then he said something quite important. "Do this in remembrance of me." That means something very special. That means love each other in remembrance of me. And they drank. Another thing that we do every Sunday in our church is we remind ourselves exactly what Christ calls us to do by the prayer that Christ taught us to pray. Would you join me? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Thank you so much for coming. We will close now with Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. It was grace that taught my heart to fear. Grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace hath brought me safe thus far. Grace will lead me home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise. We'd first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. You all have a great rest of your day.